Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Deja Vu here, bringing you the fourth set of KT Rolster versus MBC Game Hero here in the Winners League Finals. I am back with Varoche and Gooseheaded, and we are going to have Sea Shield continuing on. This is going to be Fighting Spirit, so his team is up 2-1, and he's going to need, I think, one more kill to force Flash out. Well, obviously, one more kill, and he'll be able to force Flash out. And countering C for now, it's going to be KT Never, aka Forgg. So Forgg is starting out in the top left in red, Sea Shield is starting off in the bottom right in teal. So C is in teal and Forgg is in red. We'll try to keep that straight as much as possible. Try and keep that straight in your head. And they are at cross position, so this could be turn into a very huge macroeconomic map. This is Fighting Spirit, 12 bases, 12 gases, not counting the middle expansion, which, you know, it's the middle expansion. So actually, you never know. It's Winners Leagues, I could see the middle expansion being taken because, well, the game will probably be over, and sometime a player will probably be like, okay, I'm bored, so I'm going to take the middle expansion. So at the end of this game, watch out for that. That'll probably be something that someone does just for amusement's sake. But this should be pretty interesting at TVT. Forgg is a pretty solid player versus everything. He had that MSL victory, was doing really well when he was on Wasling Oz. He got traded to KT to be the back to Flash. Kind of has failed at it pretty hardcore for a while, but this season he's been doing a little bit better, starting to work back into it. And they apparently trust him enough in this situation to send him out against C, and he might be able to come away with the victory. This should be a pretty intense battle, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm a big fan of TVT myself, especially really long ones, because TVT reminds me of real life modern warfare, and I absolutely love looking at huge tank lines in the middle of the map. When a Terran player, when one player takes a base off of the other, I just love seeing the tanks moving into position and just securing that area. Like, this territory is mine. And oh man, this map is absolutely awesome. Lots of resources, cross positions, long rushing distances. Man, I am really looking forward to a long TVT, I have to say. So right now, both players seem to be going relatively for normal opening. C, is it C? Yes, it is C. C has a forward Rex position. Probably gonna try and scout for GG as soon as possible, I assume. Not really sure what he has in mind yet. It's still a bit too early to tell. But really, I would love to see lots of harassment or just a really long TVT. I don't know what your preferences are, Varoche.
Well, I love TVTs of any length. It looks like C's mining gas with two SCVs, and Forgg's mining with one. So Forgg's probably going to go for one fact into command center. And a lot of times when you see two SCVs on gas, it can actually be an early starport, early drop build, but it's less certain. Certainly it's less certain when you see two. I just like to tell a brief anecdote. Before this game, one of us asked, "What is Forgg good at?" And the response was invariably he was good at 2008, and he's not very good at anything anymore. And then one of us started singing "Boom Boom Pow," but for their privacy, they will remain nameless. But Forgg really hasn't impressed anybody or rocked the world or anything since 2008, and we can see Forgg is setting up for that command center, which is going to work out for him because of, but C's going to just take his and build it at the natural, so C's actually going to be a little bit ahead on that command center timing. I guess he got the scout in and deduced that would be the best ploy. But anyway, Forgg hasn't really done anything particularly impressive since 2008 when he won the Arena MSL, when he 3-0'd Jadong. Like, everyone thought he was going to be the next big thing, the next Bonjour maybe, but he kind of fell flat after that, and just this season clawed back to being good, but still not great.
Well, I mean, Forgg became pretty predictable. He was always a master of timing pushes. Like, he knew how to execute an attack at 11 minutes or at 16 minutes in all of his matchups. He knew how to attack and take down his opponents, and I think once people figured that out, he kind of became pretty much nullified. Like, everything he did was just nullified. So I think he kind of had to go back to the drawing board and start from scratch. And unfortunately, he was traded to KT during that time as people started figuring him out. And he just was really struggling there for a while. And we've got 3 factories from C, so we're going to see a lot of units coming out here. And actually 3 factories from 4GG as well. So there's going to be a lot of units going to start hitting the field pretty soon, as soon as this command center lands. So a little bit of an advantage for C. But I think 4GG is starting to get a little bit more unpredictable again, which is what he needs to do. He got really, really predictable for a while, and now he's changing up his builds, and he still has some very good timing attacks. It's just he does more than just that now. So I think that's kind of the evolution of 4GG, and he's gonna become, I mean, for as long as StarCraft 1's alive, I think he's going to become a solid role player. I don't think we're going to see him deep in any more Star Leagues or anything like that, but we should see him as a solid contributor for KT for the foreseeable future, which is good for them. They really need a backup to Flash on their Terran line, so I think he fills that role. And other than that, it looks like we've got 4GG marching across the map with a couple of tanks, going to put on a little bit of pressure, and it doesn't look like C has any tanks out yet, but he does have some vultures, and they're actually going to go pick off the reinforcements of 4GG. So this is actually a huge play, going with spamming vultures and picking off all the reinforcements. That means that these two tanks are isolated, and they can easily be taken down by a nice surround here. We'll see if that's what he goes for with all these vultures, and I think he is. Yeah, going to go to full surround here. These tanks are going to go down. So C is going to get a nice early lead here. 4GG not keeping his forces fully together, and those tanks got separated from the rest of his army. And yeah, that's going to be a nice win there for C, and 4GG is definitely going to be starting this game out behind.
Yeah, since the beginning of the game, I have to say C's being just a tiny step ahead of 4GG. C started off with that forward Rex just to see where 4GG was before 4GG could know where he was. C moved his barracks over to 4GG's base to try and scout. Wasn't real successful at it, but still the intention was pretty good. And right now, 4GG lost his first two tanks, which is really bad. That is actually a pretty heavy investment, taking into consideration that it's only been 6 minutes into the game. I mean, that is a large portion of your gas, really. It looks like, wow, looks like 4GG is actually gonna add 2 extra factories. Gonna probably try and produce as many vultures as C, I suppose. But C has speed and mines upgraded, and I don't think 4GG's actually got any upgrades for his vultures. I think he was actually upgrading Siege, but I might be wrong. Both players are right now just messing up their vultures. We see here that C's actually set up a nice little mine container for 4GG, but 4GG doesn't have that many tanks now, so those mines aren't going to be that useful. So, well, right now I have to say both players are somewhat very similar in terms of economy and military, but 4GG has lost those 2 tanks, and that's definitely gonna put him a couple of steps behind, because every time you lose a tank like that, every time you lose, you lose small battles, eventually those losses actually sum up, and they do hit you in the late and mid game.
Alright, so 4GG has stopped producing SCVs, guys. For, I guess, like the past minute or so, he hasn't been pumping any SCVs. And right now he's adding 2 comsat stations. So 4GG is going for one of the timing attacks Deja Vu was just talking about at the beginning of this game, adding a bunch of... Okay, right now